All right, hello and welcome to the Career Development's Alumni Interview Series. I'm Patty Moran from the Center for Career and Professional Development. I also oversee our career community in government, public administration, and law. I'm very lucky to have Bill Davis with us today, who is the Director of Government Affairs at Boehringer, I didn't say it right again, Ingelheim Animal Health US, who is here to discuss his career in government. And thanks again for taking the time to chat with us today. So I'm going to just start off by having you do another brief introduction and explain a little bit about what you do.
Sure. Thanks, Patty. And great job with the pronunciation of Boehringer Ingelheim. BI for short works just fine. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all this afternoon, and I hope this message finds you all doing well and staying safe. As Patty mentioned, I'm Director of Government Affairs for BI Animal Health. I'm based here in our Washington, D.C. office and oversee all lobbying efforts for the animal health side of our business. And for those of you who are not familiar with Boehringer Ingelheim, we are a pharmaceutical company that covers both human and animal health. And some of you may wonder, what does the animal health side of a pharmaceutical company do? And in short, we cover and do a lot of the same things that a human health pharmaceutical company may do on their end. So if you have a dog or a cat, all of those flea and tick products that you may use for them, or heartworm medicine, those are things that my company does. All of the livestock and poultry that we produce here in the U.S., my company does. Vaccines and other therapeutics for those animals as well. And I cover that side of the business for BI. And our U.S. headquarters is actually in the state of Connecticut, not too far from Sacred Heart University, over in Ridgefield. So spend quite a bit of time up there in my role as well. I've been with BI for about, it'll hit my 3-year mark this April. Prior to joining BI, I headed up the Government Affairs Department for the National Pork Producers Council, which is one of the leading livestock agricultural associations here in Washington, D.C. And for them, handled similar responsibilities as I do for BI, in that my role and responsibility is to be the face of the association or the company up on Capitol Hill. So meeting with members of Congress and their staff on a daily basis, meet with key agencies of importance for our company. So that is our agencies like the United States Department of Agriculture, the FDA, the EPA, among others, as well as the administration. Before I joined NPPC, I spent a couple of years up on Capitol Hill working for a member of Congress from Ohio, and handled all of his agriculture portfolio, his trade portfolio, foreign affairs, and a number of other different issues for him and his role and capacity as a member of the House Agriculture Committee and Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. And before doing that, I worked for another company, again, doing their government relations work, and came to DC shortly after I graduated from Sacred Heart in 2007, where I did both an internship in the House of Representatives as well as in the Senate. So I've been down here in DC in a number of different roles, both on Capitol Hill and off, since my time at Sacred Heart.
That's great. Thank you. And you touched on this a bit about what attributed to some of the successes that you have had so far. But what do you think are the major factors that have you ended up where you are today?
Yeah, the major factors in how I ended up today, it all comes back to my time at Sacred Heart University. So when I was there from 2003 to 2007, my plan at that time was to spend my 4 years there building up to go to law school shortly after I graduated. And my class course trajectory was, at least in my mind, setting me up for that. And my junior and senior year at Sacred Heart, I had spent that time also interning for a law firm in Bridgeport, and got to have a great line of sight into life at a firm, what that was like, what it would take. And it was a great opportunity for me to get that hands-on experience, but then also to get a lot of advice from the attorneys that I was working with on a daily basis. And as I progressed through those 2 years, quickly became to realize that it was not the career path that I thought it might be. And it's something that interested me right at that time. And I was fortunate enough to have a great attorney that worked there that could have a conversation with, that as we were getting closer to my graduation date and he was asking what my next plans were, I could have that honest conversation with him and say, I thought law school was that next step for me immediately after graduating, but I'm not so sure. And something that he took no offense to, certainly, but it opened a conversation on where I might like to go. And government and policy and politics has always been something that's interested me. And he had some connections with a senator from Connecticut at the time, and asked if I might want to go and do an internship with him after graduating down here in DC, and just see if that's something that I may want to pursue moving forward. And was fortunate enough to be able to get that internship with his help and assistance. And that led me to where I am today. I'm still here in DC ever since. So
yeah, that shows the power of a good mentor, right? Right from the beginning. And this must be a tough question then. Would you have done anything differently if you were to do SHU all over again? I know that, some of the bumps in the road led you to where you are today. So I'm not sure if you would, but could you speak on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And honestly, I wouldn't have done anything differently thinking back on it, because I think I learned a lot of valuable lessons in my time at Sacred Heart that were more beneficial for me to learn over those 4 years than post my graduation date. And they really, like I said, set me up, I think, to have the most success for myself post graduation. So it allowed me to get, I don't want to say mistakes out of the way, because I don't think they were mistakes. The time I spent with that law firm was I think extremely valuable. It taught me a lot of lessons and gave me a lot of line of sight into that line of work and what that entails. So I wouldn't change any of that. And I also think it taught me a lot about work ethic and what it takes to continue to survive and thrive in your profession. As I mentioned, I was doing that internship. I also played football at Sacred Heart, so I was carrying a full load at my time there, and was able to carry that, I think, onto my future endeavors. And it's been, I think, an advantage for me since.
That's great. Thank you. And our last question is, can you share some advice that you'd give to current students that are exploring various career paths, specifically as it pertains to those who are interested in pursuing careers in government?
Sure. Yeah. The first is a couple that I've kind of mentioned here a little bit. One, have as many resources as you can, and absorb as much information as you can, and ask as much information as you can as you move through this process in your life, and as you get into your professional careers. You will no doubt have 1 or 2 or 3 individuals who will really become, I think, professional mentors for you, and you will rely on their advice and expertise maybe more than others, but don't limit yourself to those. Get as much information and advice as you possibly can, so that you can make the best decision for yourself moving forward. And the other piece that I would maybe mention is, remain flexible in your plans. I thought I was 100% certain that I knew exactly what I wanted to do after graduation day, which was to go to law school and pursue a career down there. And that was not the path for me. And I'm glad I learned that, and was able to kind of adjust to my plans, and love what I'm doing currently. I wouldn't change a thing about it, but I'm sure many of you have paths and plans laid out for you. As you go through this process, just remain flexible if you find it's not exactly where you want to go, and be open to exploring all opportunities that may be open in that space.
It's tremendous advice, Bill. It's music to our ears, especially in career development. Just be willing to pivot and take as much advice as you can, and gain as many mentors as you can as well. So on behalf of the Center for Career and Professional Development and the greater Sacred Heart University community, thank you, Bill, for joining us today. We appreciate your time and your insight into your career path, and we're looking forward to continuing to watch you find success throughout your professional career. So thank you again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you again for having me. And if there's ever anything I can do to help, or folks have questions, please don't ever hesitate to reach out.
Perfect. All right.